What's up? What's up, guys? Welcome to the fifth episode of Expected Game Plan.
XG.
As you guys know, I'm RJ here with KR. And in today's episode, in today's show, we have a couple of very interesting, trending topics to discuss relating to sports. Some topics we already touched on. Before we proceed, remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Remember to share this video with your friends, family, and your enemies. Comment, especially so we know what you think, whether you agree with our takes, yes or no. And of course, the best way that you can engage or at least help us with the algorithm would be also to just press that like button.
Press
Go,
it.
yes, go check us out on our other channel as well, where we discuss trending topics. That's the Double Thought Show. With that being said, KR, I think we can start. Yeah, man. KR,
Um,
we I don't recall if we talked specifically about this topic on air, but of course, what's been trending the last week was the whole Brandon Marshall.
well, we talked about it last week. We talked the first part, Brandon
Yeah,
Marshall part. And well,
yeah.
what we said was, let's take a look at what the other side will be, the side of the story. And
They gave it real quick. And and before we discuss that, just uh, a quick reminder for everyone who didn't watch it, of course. But
go watch it.
they split. Yeah,
That's
go
the-
watch. But I'm talking about the whole incident, right? So Brandon Marshall was together with a crew, a couple of people. Now he's together with none of them. It's if you hear Brandon's story, it was all their fault. So it's other people's fault. And yeah, I told you from the start. As soon as the show was really kicking, it was really popping gradually. They had a good good chemistry.
chemistry. Yeah.
But then it seemed to me like they started to pivot. No pun intended.
They pivoted into the pivot.
Yeah, but it seemed to me like they started to. So the channel was going so many directions, right? So it's the spin-offs. I am woman. I am NASCAR. I am
I am
whatever.
broke.
I am broke. So that's and when that started happening, I thought that it wasn't a good sign. And then shortly after, two key people, and then a third one left: Fred Taylor, Crowder, and Ocho Cinco, right? And then of course, yeah, no one wanted to really address it, so they were both cryptic about it. But I guess we,
I think they spread up like men. You know what? Let's leave it behind us.
yeah. But then
Well, then,
Brandon started talking.
let's be honest. Numbers are slowing up. Numbers are slowing up, so you need to do something to generate the buzz.
Yeah. So he started with his whole story, and he's doing a media round now, basically trashing the two, especially Crowder and so the guys from the Pivot, Crowder and
Well, he did.
um,
He trashed all of them.
Yeah, Taylor. Yeah, no, no. It started right with Crowder and
Yeah, yeah,
Brad
okay.
Taylor, but then he kept on going. I guess to your point, man, he wasn't getting the traction that he expected, and so he started to up the ante and started attacking other people as well who never actually worked with him directly.
Not in that venture.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
other
So yeah,
ventures,
other
yes.
ventures, yeah, of course, they're sports
The DB stuff.
commentators, yeah, but not in I am athlete specifically, right? And it seemed to be a bit pathetic, but they responded, as you said.
Yeah, before we start, because I have the clips. I have a couple
Oh, you have some
small
clips.
parts.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, some clips. One thing, and guys, I think one thing we talked about last time. Is we looked at it from the perspective of Brandon, what he was explaining. So we broke it down. from that perspective. If he was, if what he's saying is true,
Yeah.
this is what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. We then basically choose his side. We break down stuff as we go. One thing we also said, yeah, let's wait to what these guys are saying. And they started off with the heat.
Yeah.
They put John, I'm not gonna say, want to say John Rocker, but we know what happened with him. John Rocker is no more.
Come on, man.
He's the heat. This is like how many 3 minutes into the pivot. They pivoted right.
Yeah,
By
and the
the way,
pivot, yeah, the
wait
new
a
app.
second. Before I start, yo, this is crazy. You know, I watched this a majority of the part. These
Yeah.
guys started talking about Robert. Robert that's locked up. Robert
Why?
Kelly.
Yeah, why?
I have no idea. So it's like how Joe Budden starts his show. Like
Yeah.
they were talking and then suddenly they start.
Yeah, yeah.
These guys, and they admitted to watching that video. You know which one I'm talking about.
I don't.
You've heard of it. I don't say you watched it. You've heard. You might have heard of it. Everyone has heard of it when it
I have
happened.
no clue what KR is talking about. See,
These guys, yo, I was looking at this like, what are you doing?
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, let's talk about what we are here for. It's the heat. They started off the rip. I'm gonna play a short part. Uh, First of all, fair use. Shout out to the pivot. I hope you guys don't strike us for this one.
Yeah.
Cam did a show with the other guy, and
Catch that one.
Yo,
Yo, the other guy,
not even acknowledging that he has a name.
no name. This is the how it start. Yo, it started like that. So that's the part I wanted to show off of that one.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
another one.
All right.
This is even wilder.
For everybody,
Oh, let me share the screen, of course.
whoever the other person is.
Oh, so the he was referred as the other guy first, and then
we've been
This
trying to
comes
get it to go away, and it won't.
Right. Just for everybody, whoever the other person is, or if they don't know who the other person is, I think Brandon Marshall might be the biggest coward on the planet simply because he lied
Yo,
to
yeah.
us. You know,
Yo, he was like,
yo,
I saw only that part. So I saw so that was trending, that part trending.
yeah,
Brandon Marshall, it started. Brandon Marshall is the biggest coward. This is the first time I'm seeing the first part. For it was like Ryan, with all the respect. For those of you who don't know who we're talking about, we're talking about Brandon Marshall, and he's the biggest coward there.
that's a wild word
Hey,
to say, but it's clearly that they don't see eye to eye anymore.
yeah. Well, I don't think they split because they never did care.
Yeah, and I haven't watched the full Cam show, so they were giving Cam props for pushing back on a lot of stuff, right? And one thing, I haven't watched the full Cam interview, but apparently Brandon claimed that he was responsible for Channing going to the dentist and changing his.
Teeth.
Oh, you know how wild that is, bruh.
You're
Channing,
basically saying that you, because the procedure can be expensive. I
yeah,
mean, it can vary from someone got it for 90,000, but you can get it for 10,000 depending on what you do. If you're talking about full teeth removal,
yeah.
to say that you pay,
But not paid. He told them to do it. That's what
oh,
he.
like that. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Channing.
Shannon was like, "What are you talking about? Dude? I've been talking to this with my wife for a very long time, and then I decided to do it. But you're not the one who's giving me advice to improve myself.
Yeah.
What is this about?" And One thing that's clear, and if you listen to that part, the in beginning, is that
Uh-huh.
he was what's his name? The one who's on the screen right now,
Ryan Clark? No, Fred Taylor.
Fred.
Yeah, well, I can see it, but
Yeah, but
yeah, Fred Taylor. Yeah.
Fred was saying he offered money from the beginning, but Brandon was stalling
Mm.
up to a year later, and then he went full Fat Joe.
So he was trying to get him to buy in, basically,
He
trying to
was trying
increase
to
the
buy in.
value. Yeah,
No. He was trying to buy in, but Brandon was pushing
yeah, but
the
why?
chance.
So the question is why? Was he doing it deliberately
Yeah,
to?
he
Yeah, right.
didn't want
So
them to buy in low, right?
yeah.
But he
Well,
said to him after a year, yesterday's price is not today's price.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, Kier. Is that all you wanted to show of
Yeah.
the clip?
If
Well,
you want,
I'll tell you this because I have my opinion. I don't know neither of these people. Uh, Personally, I can just go off what I know, or at least what I see, right? And from what I have gathered, I mean that they were, let's say, that they belonged in an elite category of athletes that had a privilege to play professional,
yeah,
to be the very few to do so. I mean, it just goes to show you who these people are. So you can assume that they have a certain level of discipline, certain level of work ethic, etc. So
yeah.
it's not about that. It's not about their morals, etc. either. But what I can tell you is this: we always talk about growing too fast, right? And I think the show grew very fast. And when you're an athlete or you're famous, you're a maybe you're an actor or whatever, and you start your own podcast, you can blow up faster than, let's say, an unknown person starting a podcast. However, what also plays a role is that when you do that, for example, we started the channel, we started Double Thought Show, which is the other channel we have, which, I mean, so I don't, if you go look, you just see the quality. It was basically very, s- um,
Start
v-
very low. You start
very
at
low and then
low
gradually grow up, but
platform.
we can permit it. But sometimes I have the feeling when I talk to people who've always been in the business, they see things, it always needs to be a production. So they put a lot of money in, super cameras, all these angles, producers. So it's a way to do it. It's a way to do it. It's not, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but it's a way to do it. But it has its costs and it has its risks. And usually when you start low and you start very minimalistic, and which is why I like the mm, like podcasts where these what
The Shannon podcast,
yeah,
Shannon.
so the nightcap is one example, but very simple podcast, because these people are big people, but they started fairly simple. You build it up. I like it because it's more durable. But if you start with a platform and you put a lot of money in, you feel the pressure as well, especially if you do it on your own. And instead of sitting and relaxed and say, okay, how are we going to do it? You might be 300K deep already. And then you're like, hey, I need the money now. So what are we going to do? So the pressure is already there. That's one thing. So you need to be able to deal with it. Now, I've seen a couple of the I Am Athlete episodes prior to Channing, Fred Taylor, and Ochocinco leaving. When they left, I stopped watching immediately. I stopped watching. And I was surprised. I started watching The Pivot because I like Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark is also there, so I like his personality with the other two. It's great, but it's like, hey, what am I? When you look at the dynamic, it was clear that so in the old episodes, it was clear that Brandon Marshall was the lead. He was the one guiding the conversation. But you could also see, in my opinion, that he's a very and he's talked about it as well. He's
Controlling.
not controlling. He's had um how do they call it? Is it mental health issues in the past, and he's still dealing with it. Sometimes he seems immature to me. So emotionally immature.
CTE.
So a lot of anger, and when it he always has, it always seems like he can, flip. Some people have that thing that he can
Yeah.
flip at
All,
any
all,
given.
all football players have it.
Well, yeah. So, well, to be good in what you are, yes, of course.
Did you miss what I just said earlier?
Yeah. What? All football players have it? What did you say?
couple of couple of seconds before I said it, I said CTE.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. But
Ah,
it's
but at the end, so I do agree with you on that. I think one thing, by watching the response of the guys from the pivot, one thing it's clear to me is that because they talk about receipts, right?
yeah,
And they are referring to contracts that were created at the beginning, and meetings they had where basically was being said that certain person, a female name, don't recall the name exactly, he said to her that she had 30%, and then suddenly the next meeting he recanted that story, saying I was wrong or whatever. And so one thing, if you look at the counter from the pivot, it seems like Brandon Marshall's business antics are not right, and they are also referring to everyone who started with him are not longer with him.
yeah,
That will tell you something about someone's antics and how
yeah,
how they do business. And I do think that these guys waited a year, tried to figure out whether they can build off of this, and they found out that it's not possible to build a platform with someone you don't trust, that who don't have, not to say your best interest at heart, but at least the group's interest at heart. You don't
yeah,
have to have specifically someone else's best interest at heart, because you, of course, you have to have your own interest at heart. But at the
yeah.
end, I think it's, if I have to weight both sides, I would say probably Brandon might have screwed the shit up.
I think so too. And I'll tell you something. And again, this is an observation, and this is not. This is based on what I've seen, and the dynamic I've seen on the podcast. His wife, so Brandon's wife or partner, I think they're married though, so I'll just refer to her as his wife.
Mhm.
His wife gradually started um, having a spot in the show. So, for example, the wife, I think, has a
In
clothing.
the main one.
Yeah, because so let me just give an example.
Okay.
So they had a cook, and the cook was so she was cooking food for the crew, and they
Mhm.
were promoting her. So as they were talking, the cook would come out with food,
Mm.
and the cook really thanked them for giving her the platform, because since she's been on the show, they've asked her to do certain things, or
Yes.
cook. So
Yes. Yes.
her
Yes.
her branding, so she was really grateful for that. And similarly, there were other people that they were trying to push their products or their services. So I really thought that that was a good move, if you're talking about together, um, putting people in places so they can move, and maybe, yeah, help them with their branding and their marketing. But then he started doing it with the wife as well, and the wife gradually got a bigger role. And I remember one episode they were talking, and I think I'm not sure if that was the one where everyone had their partners with them or their
Mhm.
significant others. But they were talking about how much so the wives were talking about, and I remember Brandon's wife specifically talking about how much she sacrificed. And it was sacrificed while Brandon was working. So she was always in the background
Mhm.
because the whole schedule was built around what Brandon had to do. Brandon had games, Brandon had practice, and Brandon was also talking about, yeah, I was I'm not sure if he used the word selfish, but I mean it's logical. You need to be selfish if you're a professional. Now, they wouldn't be in the position they're in now if Brandon didn't make this necessary sacrifices then. But you could see, and I think Brandon formulated it as well, that he said, hey, now it's time for me to, give my wife a place
Mhm.
because it's time for me to, step back and maybe support my wife. So really, so that's why that to me was let's say, that's when I felt like, hey, the wife has, when the I Am Woman came out and the wife was running it,
Mhm.
that's when I thought, that's when I realized, this isn't a group thing. It isn't a group thing. It's seems, and they really try to push it in a direction.
Mm.
And I had the impression that the wife had a lot of say in everything. Okay,
Mm.
if you and I are talking, you and I are talking about, let's start a business together. If from the get go we sit together from the get go, and I say, okay, I want you to buy in. Just hold on, just hold on.
I didn't do nothing. I'm
And we
listening.
keep we keep no no I'm
Oh,
saying
okay, okay.
just hold
Let's
on.
continue.
I need you to buy in, but just not now, not now, KR. No, no, we're partners, KR. Hey, but what now? Just chill. And then we work, and you come and say, hey, yo, RJ, when can we I want to buy in, man. Brother, we're all in this together, but hold on.
Let me pay
Just
your
keep
sal-
working,
let me
just
pay
keep
your
working.
salary.
And at the end, and after a year, I tell you, yes, my brother, you wanted to buy in? Here, it's worth 10 times more than it was. That's not the way to conduct business, because that means that from the get-go, it wasn't my intention to really partner up with you. I tried to get more money out of you.
No,
It,
build
it,
leverage.
it would have been, yeah, it would have been better just to say, yo, KR, this is my business. I'm gonna pay you a salary. I have no intention of selling it or selling shares, etc. But maybe in a year it will be available, so
Or
we can talk
vesting.
then. But at least I've been open and honest with you.
Or do vesting.
Do vesting, yeah. Yeah. So you know what vesting is like, when you reward people with shares for what they do, right?
Yeah, basically the amount of time you tie the amount of time they are in in your company
Mhm.
to shares they receive. So, example, for each and every 2 years you're in the company, you will get this amount of shares. Or if you reach five, for example, 5 years,
Yeah,
you'll get this amount. But
yeah,
you're not gonna get nothing now. So if you leave between now and 5 years, 4.5 years you'll get nothing. 4 years and 364 days you get nothing. The fifth year you get something.
yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to guarantee people don't.
And the commitment, you guarantee
You get
commitment
the
from them.
commitment. Yes.
Yeah,
Well, what do I do now? I don't know nothing. I'm in my mama's basement as usual.
yeah. No, but I mean, there was other ways to do it, and I've realized and I've experienced that clarity is more important than anything. So
You
if
have to
my
be transparent.
intention if my intention is to build leverage, I just need to say it. And I'll tell you
Transparent.
from the get-go, KR, this is my intention. And
But the
you,
thing is, oh,
yeah.
continue. Sorry.
And
Continue.
you and I, at least when I offer you it at a higher percentage, I was open. You wouldn't feel like you've got screwed over.
The only thing, so The only way why you're not transparent, and then we can go to another topic. I do feel that if you're not doing the business in good faith, that's the only way. You don't tell them at the
Yeah.
beginning, like, this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
Because then you know they're gonna say, you know what, man, it was fun doing 2 shows, but
Mm.
I don't think this is going nowhere.
Yeah.
You knew what you were gonna do. So that's why I think why he wasn't transparent. At the end, the pivot is up, and I think I am athlete might also pivot.
So, so I am
They are
broke.
pivoting to I am broke. Broke. I am done. And we are done with this topic. Hey man, guys, don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the Game Plan live podcast channel and also the Clips channel.
Yes. What else did you want to talk about today, man?
Hey man, some people get scammed in the podcast.
Some people get scammed in the podcast.
Yeah, in the podcast game. So basically
Oh
they
yeah,
scam the pivot guys.
yeah,
Other people get scammed by their ex-wife. And well, that happened to Earl Thomas, man.
Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas from the Seahawks.
What happened?
Man, well, what didn't happen? What did happen? If you don't know RJ, Earl Thomas,
Uh,
legendary defensive guy, Super Bowl champion. He had a really interesting relationship with his wife.
okay.
The reason why he's not in the NFL no more is because of his wife.
Did his wife make him retire?
No, 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 no. Well, in a sense, she did. She did.
Okay. Okay.
They put a Mr. and Mrs. Smith on each other.
They pulled the. They were trying to off each other.
Oh, that's gotta be that short is gonna be fire. Oh my god. They put the blicky on each other, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, he was free agency. They released him and then he never got back. And to
Mm.
think about it, right? This is not someone he met at his height. This was a day one.
But okay, but maybe can you give me the a bit of a like very short the backstory how they got there? The Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Was it just
Well,
like
there
an
is no
argument
backstory. So there probably an argument, and they
okay
basically pulled the
on each
blood
other,
on each
both?
other. On each other. Yes, yes. It's so the thing is one thing I've learned is that you cannot help dysfunctional people, no matter what. You put two together.
Yeah.
Well, one dysfunctional person is already a mess. You put two dysfunctional people together, it's gonna explode at a certain point. And it has been exploding for Earl, man. Earl was already known in the NFL circles as uncoachable.
Okay.
He was uncoachable on the field.
Hot tempered?
Hot tempered. Not he didn't listen. Didn't want to listen.
Yeah.
Well, he married his wife in 2014. A day one, RJ. A day one. Day one. She was his high school sweetheart. So you would think it's a love,
Yeah.
until you divorce. They divorced
I would think so.
in 2020,
Okay.
COVID year. They found out they're not compatible. Oh my God. Man. Let's continue. Let's continue. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Put on the hat and continue. So they divorced in the uncle year, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uncle's year, and They went their separate ways. She found a new boo. And the new boo with the ex-wife decided to steal Earl's identity. So she divorced him, but didn't want to
Say it
give
ain't
him the
so.
money. Earl got caught for 2 mil. He got caught for two
So they
mil.
scam. So the ex-wife and the new lover scammed Earl from 2 million. Is that what you're saying?
For 2 mil. Yeah, they
For two
forged
million.
they forged IDs and all that
ID.
stuff, and
Yeah.
stole dude's identity, bought stuff. There is this so
Who do you think?
the whole
Who,
story is transferred car ownerships, a number of vehicles, stole money from his
wow.
bank account. It's a mess.
But it sounds too easy to me. So I'm wondering, to be honest, to what extent they actually did identity theft, let's say, or whether, I mean, it's identity theft, of course, but I'm wondering how much. For example, did Earl change his very? I don't mean to sound condescending, but did Earl change his online banking password? That's one question. You
Oh
know,
no,
things.
no. He didn't went to online. They didn't went online. They went to the bank.
You're serious.
So here's the thing. The guy is being charged with identity theft, forgery, money laundering, credit card fraud, computer fraud, and bank fraud. It is also reported that Thompson, which is the guy, her new lover, I mean, dysfunctionality attracts more dysfunction. Used a driver's license with his own photo, but with the Seahawk icon's information, which he then
Wow.
used to create a phony bank account.
Wow. Talk about due diligence.
He
Talk about
also, he also has alleged to have driven Thomas's blue Rolls Royce Cullinan, SUV to the bank where he was arrested after transferring the vehicle to his own name.
wow.
Wait a second, that's not all. After being released from jail, he claimed to have tried to get the Rolls Royce back from the sheriff's office. And guess how he arrived at the sheriff's office?
How?
He arrived in a separate car that had been reported stolen in Atlanta,
Yo,
leading him to being arrested
for two.
again. I'm telling you, dude. This
The co-
function, the
the
dysfunctionality, yo, it's
the
beyond.
cojones, KR, the cojones to do something like that. I'll tell you one thing, couple of things. The first thing is, whose idea was it? But I think you answered that question. It's probably the man. Now, women say they like men that lead. Who knows? That's the first.
He went to the hell. He went to jail.
Well, that's the first thing. The second thing here, Beyonce had a song. And now I finally understand the lyrics of the song.
I'll be a naughty girl. No, that's not that one. It's not
No,
that
it's
one.
not. It's not. It's not that.
Okay, okay.
I don't. It's the one that says to the left. To the left. I don't know if that's the name of the song, but it says, and I'm thinking that this is what happened. I can have another you in a minute. As a matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute. So I think they took it literally. The another you, they took it literally. They just used every information from what I understand, just changing pictures. And the woman was had to be there to probably corroborate, or to make it more believable that the person is who he says he is.
Not only that, she had probably the whole already the idea,
Yeah.
not the idea, but the idea of Earl. So she probably was
The
part of
idea.
this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
From the start.
I mean, she must have been. She must have. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whose problem is. They should both go to jail. But it seems from what you're telling me that the man is the one being charged. Is the woman?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
also. I think let me see. And it's just here's the dysfunction. I'm gonna give you a bit of a backstory to their dysfunction. Months earlier in 2000, so Earl's house burned out last year. Anyway,
KR. Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not gonna speed past that. Wait a minute. Can we say with 100% certainty that it wasn't caused by these two?
I don't know what was caused or not, bro. I'm not trying to get into this functionality. Good luck to them. But so months earlier in 2022, he was arrested at Spanky's bar on a warrant out of Austin for violation of court protective order. The initial,
Who is
uh,
that? Who?
it's Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah. Earl Thomas.
Yeah, that initially stemmed from him allegedly sending threatening messages to his wife about her and their children. It has been reported that at the time Thomas was booked into Orange County Jail and soon was bonded out, is which was set for 15,000. The original May 2021 protective order requires him to communicate with the woman only through the co-parenting phone application. And she claimed he was refusing to download the app and showed up unannounced at places she was visiting, according to police affidavit. This fuck, yo, they can help it, bro. In May 2020, Thomas' wife was arrested after she was accused of pointing a load of pew pew at his head after breaking into a vacation home and finding him with another woman.
Mm.
She filed for divorce in November. You cannot hold. Hey, I'm telling you, dysfunction attracts more dysfunction. She's a day one. And hey, if your
They
day
want
one scams you like this, who can you trust?
they want
It's an
couples.
athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, man.
It's
What
crazy.
what what you know, as a lawyer, I always experienced, or at least always, a majority of my experiences with my clients are negative, right? Because it's always negative, it's always problems that you need to solve. So the you continuously see the dark side of people, or what people are capable of doing.
Yeah.
I think I told the story of a man who had everything planned out. So he,
Be a bit more specific, please.
yeah, I am. So he had everything planned out as it relates to his retirement. He
Okay.
paid. He
Really?
paid. He
Are
paid.
you going into a crime
So he
scene?
had a He had a mortgage. He had a mortgage. He had a car loan, and everything was set to be paid off at the moment of the retirement, so that he could live peacefully in his older days. And he married a woman who was 10 years younger than he was, and he always took care of the woman. And it was like, okay, now I have a good pension, so when I retire, we have a house, no debt, and I have a good pension. My wife still has 10 years to go, but that's it. The wife decided to divorce him 3 months after dude retired, claimed he wanted the house sold, and kicked the man out of the house.
One question,
Shoot.
as KR always asks, did he had the paper signed?
He had no paper sign. They had no prenup. And
Continue.
that goes to show that, I mean, that's leverage, right? So that's why I think that the idea of having one house is very, I think it's good for both parties to have their own assets on the side. Because if you get, so it's good to have your family estate and your personal estate. And you need to have it separated. What's the third one?
No, you have
Uh,
yours.
oh,
Oh, the family. Hers.
yeah. Yeah, and I think everyone should have at least that, right?
Why is the
Because
family at the middle finger? I don't know. Wow.
yeah, well, I know. The thing is that that's what it should be. I really believe that. And I understand why some women will say, um, will first try to get their own houses because you can be there for a man, and at one the point in time the man decides after 20 years I want someone new, and you're kicked out. But on the other side, I've also seen men like this example. I can give you more that have taken care of their woman, and then the all the money was put in the family, and for in one point from one moment to the next, the wife said, "Okay, but now I want a divorce." It's usually the man that gets that leaves the house because you can't kick your wife out of the house. Now if you had a prenup, I mean, I'm not saying, yeah, I would have definitely. That's why I always advise you to getting a prenup. But yeah,
And have clear goals, right? Know what you want from each other. Don't try to know. I mean, know who she is actually deep inside.
no,
It's hard, of course. It's hard to understand
yeah,
sometimes. People change,
yeah,
but protect yourself against the change.
yeah. And
Protect
it's
yourself against the
yeah,
change.
and I always say when you get married, it's about love. When you get
Oh,
married,
you say that?
yeah. When
You're a
people get
lawyer.
married, when people get married,
I think you're a lawyer because if they're marrying for love, they're gonna be knocking at your door after 7 years.
I'm telling you, they get married for love,
Oh, they get
and
married for love. I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
you were saying you say,
No, 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 no. I'm saying people get
oh,
married for love because they
mm,
feel it tingling in their belly, and some people don't even feel that tingling as much, but they want the pic. Okay, people want the picture, man. They want the big wedding. I mean,
the Disney fairy tale.
yeah, 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 and it's good for IG. Everything needs to be photos, and I mean, people forget what it's all about, right? I think people make relationships more difficult than it has to be, but that's maybe something we can discuss later. The
And
point is
thought.
what?
Discuss at double thought.
Yeah, yeah, we'll discuss it on Double Touch Show. But something for different channel. But and I'll just say this, and then I'm done. When they get married, it's all about emotions, and the legal consequences aren't relevant. But when you get divorced, it's all legal. And it's I'm sorry to say this, but especially if you're a man, even if you don't have, even if this is my opinion, even if the woman has more than you, because usually we talk about, yeah, the woman has more than the man, but that's not necessarily the case, right? Especially nowadays.
The
But
man,
yeah,
the
yeah,
man is
yeah,
more than a woman. You mean?
yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I meant. So usually we say the man has more than the woman. We assume that, but the way things are going, that's not always the case.
What a broke boys out here, boy.
Yeah. Well, well. mm, Anyways,
Continue. Let's continue.
but it's good to have your own thing,
Yeah.
and to have it separated, because as a man, especially here in the West, When you get divorced, it's a custom that the woman gets the kids, and she can ask your money, all those things. So at least you have your own house. Like, it doesn't need to be a big, just have a small two-bedroom, somewhere that's yours. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I think we put we yeah, and definitely you can tell me to get back to Earl, use this to segue to Earl Thomas, to at least to go back to Earl Thomas. You can be, she might be a day one. It might be that she's a day one, or she was a day one with Earl Thomas, and that they were how long together? 13 years together. You said something like that. Whatever the case may,
Something
well,
like that.
it doesn't matter. But that she was a day one. They were high school sweethearts, etc. That could all possibly be true, but it doesn't change the fact that you need to. I mean, all the feelings, all the emotions, that's all fun fine and dandy. But if you do not, if you're all about emotions in a relationship, and you don't look at it as, at something, just step back and look at the business or the legal aspects that underlines all the emotions, then you do stupid things that will harm yourself. You pull a Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You do all those things. You throw your life away because you're too emotional.
Or you're too tied to the money you don't have anymore.
That's
And now
true.
you throw your life away. And guess who's gonna get full custody?
Yeah. Well, that's the question, right?
That's
I
a good
mean,
question.
I mean, if Earl Thomas is the way you're saying that, I mean, maybe it's the state that's gonna get custody of the kids.
Sometimes it's not better to have your mom and your dad at home. And we have a story about that later on this week at
Mhm.
the Double Touch Show. The guy who got 99 years.
That's crazy.
That's a
Yeah.
crazy story. But yeah, I think we can segue to should we go to Michael Ower because apparently what articles are saying now is that he was so you I don't know some backstory. I don't know if you remembered he had this legal battle with his adopting parents,
Yeah.
the Owers. And one thing he said is that the conservatorship, due to the conservatorship they had, he didn't receive anything, and there were a lot of weird things happening to his finances. That was what he was claiming. And in the latest development into that story, according to a new court filing by the Tui family, because they're like, we're not gonna get our name tainted by this BS. Um, they are sharing documents in the files, documents filed in that court filing, show that he was paid 138,000 in 16 installments across 16 years from 2007.
Mm, is that 136,000,
38
38,000? Doesn't really matter, does it?
in
But
16 installments. And
is
something.
it is it per year that he got paid that amount?
No, no, no. He got 138 in 16 installments. So
Only
131,
138?
yeah, for the rights. Well, a lot of times these rights are really, really cheap if you look at the amount
Okay.
it generates.
Okay.
I don't know how they set up these deals. I mean, it's very weird. A lot of times these rights of books are being sold off for cheap. You can buy a right for 50,000, 100K, and make
But
it a blockbuster.
so he only got money from from selling the rights, let's say.
Yes.
Not from, no money from the movie itself.
Well,
or the book
according
proceeds.
according to this, it's not clear. They are only telling what was how he was getting paid. So they don't disclose whether he got money from the movie, but I don't think so. Majority of the times, these rights, the movie rights,
Yeah.
they usually buy the rights, and then you get from the 138, and then good luck.
But who?
Pivot that into talks and get yourself out there.
Yeah.
That's how I think the business model works in majority of
But
the.
what? But what did the parents earn? Did they earn something?
He
The
didn't say anything about that. So the filing is basically based on the claims he made, which was I didn't receive anything.
Yeah. Well,
Side deals always happen.
considering the way the movie,
Side deals always happen.
considering the way the movie was, the movie performed,
300
so
million.
relatively speaking, on that, and I mean that's nothing. It is nothing.
No, it is nothing. That is true. Maybe
So
they got a lot of times what you get when you get additional payments in consultancy to the
set.
film.
Yeah.
Maybe you go there, you get paid 200K, 300K to consult the
Yeah.
director in situations. But
Yeah. It's not over that did that. It's,
no, or just got what 138 in 16 installments.
yeah.
Man, that's disgusting.
It
That's
is.
in 16 installments over 16 years. Come
That's the
on.
crazy part, right? That's the crazy part. It's
Pay,
like
pay
10,000 a
me,
year or something.
pay me the 138 in one time so I can
Yeah.
see
My
the
taxes, I see the way Uncle Sam takes half of it in
It's
one installment.
crazy, dude. This is crazy. 130 in 16 installments.
Yeah.
What?
But the one, so you can say you get what you negotiate, but on the other hand, he was placed under their conservatorship. So maybe he's
They
claiming that,
negotiate.
yeah, so maybe he's claiming that they had the position of power and they deliberately, maybe that's what he's saying, that they deliberately um, uh, entered into a deal where he would not earn that much.
Who
It's
knows?
like, yeah,
That's it, but in the end of the day, it's crazy if you. Well, I think there's all now. It shows that there are two sides of the story. They're trying to basically not get caught up into this, showing that he got paid according to his claims. He wasn't paid, so that's one start. Basically, showing that he's lying. I don't
yeah,
know what's next because maybe he will counter sue for something else.
yeah,
Maybe he's right now looking into the finances to see what has been agreed upon. Maybe if they enter a deposition, dude, you might find out they might have gotten some side action, as they say.
yeah. So I think that's I think that's the whole issue. I think if you're in a position of power and you can decide, so when you negotiate, what you have a lot of influence in what you negotiate, and you're on behalf of someone. I don't think you're, at least you're entering contracts on behalf of someone. I don't think it's a good look if I have power over someone, yeah, the power to enter into contracts, etc. And then I enter into a contract, use his rights, and then boost. So enter into a contract where I, as the one that's responsible for the person, get more money than the person who the story is about. So you know what I'm saying? It might be seen as a misuse of power. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this won't end for now. This won't end for now. I think there's gonna be countersuing and all that stuff. I think Michael. One thing that we talked about it back then, it was at a Double Thought show, and we talked about this whole situation where he also the the time he was battling this was also the time when he released a new book. So it's the cluster F. Let's call
Yeah.
it that way. It's a cluster F.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey man, Buffaloes ain't playing, bro. They're stuck.
Are they? I sell.
Hell after L.
Yeah. I think I think that the hype was there. The hype was what got them the first couple of wins. The first game wasn't, well, you can call it an upset. The rifle game was a tight game as well. But ever since they got run run over by, was it Oregon? They never really recovered.
Yeah, I'm gonna run, and they're gonna run them into the ground, dude.
Yeah,
They'll look crazy.
yeah. And what Prime is already talking about getting new players. So his style is I want dogs. At the beginning of the season, he said he's 7 dogs away from being a real contender. I think that number has doubled. So when I
Sell the
s-
whole team.
when I see the games, it seems more like um, when I see the games, it seems to me like they know they feel the pressure of everyone watching them. The whole nation is watching them, and when you enter into a platform or a space the way Dion does, you are bound to create enemies. And so I saw that, I think there was a coach. I don't know if this is true or not, but they had to fire a coach that was, or a staff member that was giving the opponents information. I mean, I don't know if that's true. Did you hear something like that?
Mhm. You mean stealing signs?
I don't know if it was stealing signs, but he was doing something that was,
There was this scandal where Michigan was basically stealing signs all around the country,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and they want to suspend the current head coach of Michigan for that whole debacle. Let's call it that one. What did you want to say actually?
So what I wanted to say was that what I was saying is that I think that he started out with a bang. The team starting out with a bang, but now they're realizing that we're on another level, and it's not as easy as a lower level, because the higher you go, the more good players you face.
The less
It's
air you have,
the less,
air, the higher altitude,
yeah, the less
less air,
area, and
the
then
more
and then you
exhausting.
really need to be the best of the best. You can be a great player in high school. When you go to college, hey, there are a lot of great players in college as well, and you need to fight for your spot. And then you need to fight for your spot to get to the pros. And then it's the best of the best of the best playing. And I think Dion now is facing a real challenge as a coach. But it might backfire, KR, because of course when the school is performing well, artists were going to see the games, the first couple of games. Oh, that's amazing, KR, that's amazing.
Swiggity swoo.
But it's the same. I mean, the what goes up must come down, and if you go up too fast, you might crash very, very, very ugly. So in a very ugly way. And that's what I'm afraid of. If
The
Dion doesn't turn it around by next season, he might be out real quick. And any dreams he might have to maybe go to the NFL or
be a long
whatever, it's
coach.
gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be, yeah.
It's crazy because everyone is chiming in, even Samuel L. Jackson said the following: Bravehearts all around. The OC can't run 3 plays to get off the field. Can't call 3 run plays to get off the field. The DC can get his guys to stop a baby carriage. Shiloh can barely walk and is going to end up
Yeah.
playing wheelchair football behind that O line. My rage is better served watching villains in a good Bollywood movie. Shamshira, here I come. No more buff ball for me tonight. No criticism on the head coach, though I see. Look, he was just standing around watching. Did you see him using a mic or a communication with any other coach before the half was over?
Who was he talking
Samuel,
about? Who was he talking about?
the head coach.
Let me see that one once more.
Samuel is kicking Prime's back in.
Wow.
Tough.
Yeah, very tough.
Shadur, I got him confused earlier too. Shiloh, 21 is 21. Yes, that's right. I'm also going to learn to spell it correctly also. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. The whole team ain't playing, and maybe this will improve the coaching, getting this type of backlash. Well, time will tell. But they are five. They are how much did they? I think it's 5 or 4 or 5 now. So they are performing better than last year, but it ain't. I mean, also people are the
It,
expectations
it,
are a bit
isn't,
loud. Right?
it isn't what Prime promised. That's what I would say. He promised like contender. He promised that he would be a contender immediately. That's what he said. Because I remember in the first press conference, they asked him how long he thinks it will take for them to be, ready to go and to contend, and he said now.
Now,
I think it's going to be very challenging. I think that again, if this was any other coach who came into Buffalo and turned the team around the way Prime has, because Prime has turned the team around, but that says more about how bad the team sucked last year than how good Dion is performing necessarily. But if
yeah,
you look at that, any other coach would be seen as a successful season
yeah,
because they're getting more wins. They got more wins already.
we
But
got more wins the last year. Yeah.
yeah. So, but because it's Prime, and care, if you look at the games, man, a lot of games they should have won. Well, a lot, 2, 3 games they should have won. If you look at the amount of mistakes, the way the defense, I
Should have
mean,
won is a big. It's a big reach, dude. They
they
got blown out
caressed,
a couple of times.
they got blown out, but they also lost some very close games.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at the way the defense performs,
yeah, that defense it ain't worth nothing. These guys can tackle, man. I'll
no,
be honest. You said it from the start. I said give them time.
I
I
told you
gave them
this.
time,
I
and
told you this.
they became
Yeah.
even more
Mm,
horrible than in the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
You were on point on that. I gotta give you that one though. I gotta give you that one. You were from the start. These guys can tackle. I said give them time.
Yeah. And
Well,
another
never
yeah,
give time to people you know is gonna fail more. But okay.
yeah. And what I think is that, and that's what the other coaches were saying, they believed in, they didn't believe in simply getting good players. They believed in developing players. Now, I'm skeptic here. Of course, I would say that if all the big players come to my program. I mean, if I'm Alabama, of course I'm already getting the best players. So when I see that another team is getting players, then I'll say no. I believe in. I don't. Why did you get rid of the players you had and bring new players? It's not fair. You need to develop. But if you're getting the good players, you're in a very privileged position. So I think that's a bit hypocritical.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think for players as well, young people, young boys, because a lot of them are still boys, young men. So
Boys
adolescent
to men.
boys, young men, yeah. What I do think, KR, is very important in that stage is people that help you grow, that groom you to grow, and that people that help you to groom to grow, the leaders, the mentors. These people, you need them in your life. You want to have those people in your life so you can, that can guide you. And
Mm.
if you I mean, imagine like you already have abandonment issue because your dad left you, and then you go to a program, and because you don't perform the way you need to perform, it's like you're out. I mean, it's I mean, if that's not a trigger for trauma,
Come on, man.
more,
To be
more.
honest, man, trauma. Well, it.
At what point? So
um,
let me ask you this, Kiara. At what age do you think that it's good to, that you should start doing that?
What?
Playing, let's say, okay, let's say you have a, you're coaching a kindergarten team.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna say, hey, b- yo, you three, you suck. Get out. Let's get three new garter kindergarten kids to fill in your roster spots because you suck. You're gonna let everyone play because it's like, it's for fun. But my question to you is, at what age do you stop
Nurturing.
nurturing
You
and
start trying
kicking
to
out people if they don't
build dogs.
perform? Yeah. At what age do you start doing that?
At the age, kids should understand reality of life.
What age is that? I
12,
asked you what age. That's what I
12,
asked you.
13, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
12,
from
13.
okay, then my next question is: do you think that you should recruit players? Let's say you have a basketball team. You have a team, a basketball team. You have the roster spot already filled, completely filled.
Mhm.
Of the roster spot, five players aren't the best. Do you think that you should work on developing them but not giving them playing time? Or is it okay to kick them out and go recruit other 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds?
Development. I'm always for development.
So that's my question. Because now we're talking about
The,
young adults who are a bit older, and Dion is talking about get out if you don't perform.
these guys are 18 and up, so you should at this point, dude, you should know whether you're good or not. Of course you're gonna develop in college,
If
but
Tom
that
Brady, if Tom Brady didn't have, if
Tom
Tom
Brady
Brady
was a
didn't,
dog at Michigan.
Tom
They tried to
Brady,
kick him out for a mobile quarterback. They tried to boot him for a mobile quarterback. Which, do you know what happened at Michigan when the when it became tough for the
when the
team?
going gets, yeah,
When it became tough for the team, guess who they brought in to save the day? That's when he started developing that clutch gene. He wasn't the number one guy. They I don't know the guy's name. There is a second quarterback. He was a second year quarterback, and they benched Brady because he wasn't that dog according
yeah.
to them.
But
They
you're,
wanted a mobile
but,
quarterback. And
you're not, yeah, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the following: because Tom Brady has been the underdog his whole life. I
yeah,
know that in all the categories he played, in all the leagues he played, from
yes,
young to the pros, right? I know this, but my question to you is this: if in Michigan, imagine in Michigan, because he wasn't a starting, he wasn't a second
in the
either,
beginning. In
he
the beginning,
wasn't a
he was
third either at the beginning. There
no,
were other people.
he clawed his way up. Yes,
Yeah.
he clawed his
So
way up.
imagine that the coach, imagine if Prime was the coach there, we might have never seen Tom Brady because he would have kicked Tom Brady out to
No,
get a better. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no. So
Because that's what he's saying. If you're not good enough, and so so well, let me put it like this.
he did.
This is what the coaches are criticizing him of. I don't know if this is what he's doing, but the coaches are criticizing him of the other coaches that of his mentality of kicking someone out
He didn't kick
before
anyone
the,
out. They
he
are
didn't.
playing. He told everyone, yo, if you're with, there is no guarantee that you will play. If you
Yeah,
want to play, you gotta work for your
spot.
spot.
Yeah,
You gotta
agree. I agree
hustle
with
for your
that.
spot, and you're free to leave. Know
Yeah,
that I will bring new players in,
yeah.
so you're free to leave. If you're a coward,
Then you
now we
leave.
open that show. If we open the show, if you're a coward, run away. If you think you're a dog, stay and fight for your
Yeah,
spot.
spot.
And three
I
guys stay.
agree. I agree with that. But they're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's focusing more on recruiting, transfer portal. So that's that more than that's what they're saying than development. So let's say if things go
Mhm.
wrong, if things are going wrong, like the way it's going now, his mindset is more I need to get new players instead of we need to, for example, have better coaches or something like that. Now, I'm
You
saying
cannot.
that's what the coaches are, the coaches
Mhm.
that don't like him are saying. A
Yes,
coach,
yes.
and so I like to be straight with everything. A coach, there's a coach there, I believe, or a staff member that used to play, that used to form part of Nick Saban's team. And he said that he sees like for 97%, Saban and Prime are the same. But the media chooses to focus on the 3%.
Mhm.
But so I'm saying that as well. But and of course, as I said, the other coaches, they're not necessarily unbiased. But I'm saying if it is, let's take it away from Prime right now, just in general. If you
Mhm.
have a coach, especially in college, that as soon as you're performing, I mean, he gives you a chance and you're performing bad. He's telling you, hey, my mindset is more, let me see who I can recruit instead of let me see how I can change or improve the program.
Yes, but the thing is, so this is the balance you have to find, right?
Yeah,
Everyone has a ceiling.
that's true.
So you cannot develop up a someone has a sometimes someone's ceiling is low, but they have the grit to push through and become a better player. A lot of guys in sports, a lot of I'll tell you, I've played with amazing talent. But you know what makes the difference between talent and average, and why some average guys make it and talent doesn't? Mentality.
Yeah,
And if you're average and you don't have the mentality, dude, I'm gonna recruit someone else
yeah,
because you're not showing the grit to push through.
yeah.
That's the difference. I mean, dude, there is a lot of talented guys out there, and then that's also what I think what Prime wants to do. I mean, of course, you gotta recruit. You gotta recruit. You're gonna recruit guys with a higher ceiling and lower floor. Sorry, higher floor. Sorry, not
Yeah.
lower floor. That's at least what you don't hope for. And and if the guys who are staying there, you know, they're close to their ceiling. They have good coaches. So it's not like they have trash coaches. So you should be tapping into that. You should see the development during the training. But if you're not seeing the development, should I continue investing in you or just get someone with a higher floor and higher ceiling and get them to play? And
I
if you're
agree with
willing to
yeah,
stay, you're willing to stay.
yeah.
If you stay, you gotta show grit. You gotta show that you want it more than the guy who's more
Mhm.
talented than you. And
Yeah,
that's the
yeah. So I agree with that. All I'm saying is you need to, it's just like in any kind of let's say in any kind of other situation, similar situation. Let's say you're an employer and you have the hire and fire mentality, right? So you don't perform, go away. You don't perform, go away. But if you don't have a program to build leaders yourself, then you're always looking for other people at the problem as the problem. And that's what I'm saying.
It's also true.
If you're going to look at the if it's always the players aren't good enough, then they should go. Maybe it is the case, but I'm saying that I mean we don't have, and I don't know how long Buffalo will grant Prime the time to choose when, let's say that to prove himself.
I mean, this year was already a win, so he has at least 1, 2 years, 2 years more.
Yeah, let's hope. But
When they signed, I mean, another. Don't forget this. What's the guy who got booted for doing the stuff with the consultant?
yeah, the guy from, no, I forgot his name.
He had
Mm,
a 10-year contract,
yeah,
so I think he will get this. They will give him the time.
yeah. Well,
Definitely,
the
this is a losing. This is a losing.
yeah,
They
well,
have been losing since forever. So
yeah.
they won 4 times already. It's a win. It's just about
They
getting the
won four times, but they're ninth in the Pac-12.
yeah.
They're playing Arizona, or they've played Arizona. And if I look at the standings, yeah, can they climb up? I think they can, but I don't see them ending at six this year.
No, they won't. They won't. They
But I
have
guess but I guess that if they can manage to get a 50-50 uh, streak, it's better than what they've had last season for sure.
just the thing is what they need to show that you become better as a team and
Yeah.
grow from that and recruit next year better guys because
Yeah.
at a certain point the tackling that you were pointing out at the beginning, I started looking at that part more deliberately and also more in details, and you can clearly see these guys can tackle, man.
Yeah.
They cannot, and that's sometimes mentality because of course we know that some DBs don't like to tackle.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I didn't know
DBs
that. No.
don't like to tackle. The physicality, that's the biggest problem sometimes with some
Mm.
DBs.
Yeah.
Some people don't like RJ. Some people don't like to get hit.
Yeah.
Guess what? Majority of the people in life don't want to get hit. It takes kind of a certain mentality to lower your pets and say, "F it, I'm gonna blow this dude up."
So let's let's pause that
Let's
for
pause that, and I think it's time to close it out.
yeah.
I think it's time to close it out with that one.
Yeah, I hope now I'm thinking we should have ended it a minute ago. Well, in any case, in
Oh
any
man.
case, yo
Good
guys, thanks
luck
for
to,
tuning.
good luck to Prime.
Yeah,
Coach
glad to be.
Prime, wish you all the luck. It ain't looking
Yeah,
good out here.
yeah, but I still think he can
Protect your door.
uh,
Protect your door at all costs
at all costs. Yeah,
because that's your cashier.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the money in the bank. You gotta
mm,
put some guards around him.
yeah. Yeah, with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the expected game plan. Whatever your thoughts are, let us know in the comment section below. Remember to rate the show by pressing the like button, share the video with your friends, family, and your enemies. And don't forget to subscribe both to this channel as well as the Clips channel. So, and go check us out on the other channel where we discuss trending topics, which is Double Dot Show. It's been a pleasure to serve you once more. We'll see each other in the next one. Until next time, peace.
Don't go out like a coward.